Oh, I've been reading this book, The Way of the Runner. I took a break from YouTube to focus on reading it. You know, I do work full time, so I don't have all the time in the world. So, yeah, took me I think 3 days to read this book. So, you know, good bit of reading there. And this guy Finn, his name is, was it Adharanand Thin? That's his name there, Adharanand Thin. And yeah, this guy's an English guy. He went to Kenya. He wrote Running with the Kenyans, and this time he went to Japan to train with the Japanese runners. And at the end of his book, they talk about Yuki Kawachi, and I've known about this guy for a few years now. He's a guy he rejects sponsorship. He's like self-coached. Doesn't do a huge amount of mileage. But I think he runs like 90 miles a week or something, which is not a lot. You think, 208 marathon guy would be doing more than that. But, he, the reasons he rejected sponsorship was quite simple. It's because, he trained as a high school athlete and a university athlete, and he spent a lot of time out injured from overtraining because, in Japan, they tend to overtrain the athletes. It's the opposite of what they do in England. In England, with the British clubs, they burn out from doing too much speed. It's probably the same in Ireland. I don't really know. I haven't really looked into the club trainings. So this guy, what does he do? What was I going to say? So they do too much endurance work. They do too many miles. Like they say they often get like high school and college athletes running 200 kilometers a week, which is like 125 miles per week. Like in Kenya, yeah, you get guys doing that, but they wouldn't do that until they're like well into their 20s. I think that's the amount of miles that Kipchoge runs, and he's a sub 2 hour marathoner. Even though he did it with those moon boots as they call them. Thing is, the reason he rejects sponsorship is because in Japan you have to do what the coach says. They're very it's either you either do exactly what the coach tells you, or you don't train with the group at all. That's it. So he decided not to train with the group at all because he's like, right, if I keep training with these groups, I'm going to keep getting injured, burnt out. So he rejected the sponsorship deal and he decided to train by himself, so he could train sensibly and not get injured all the time. Okay. Because what they have in Japan is there's 1,500 professional runners in Japan, which is amazing. There's probably like 5 or 6 in Ireland, but it's very different over there. I think you work for a company. You work like part-time for a company from like, was it around 9 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon, and then you go off and do your like evening training. So I think they're given shorter hours to allow for things like training, nutrition, food prep, stuff like that. And so yeah, that's why Yuki Kawachi rejects sponsorship. Okay. So yeah, sometimes you're better off to go solo, like instead of going to the US college system and burning out and being like Ryan Trahan and not wanting to run anymore. Maybe you're better off just get a job or find some other source of income and just train in your spare time. Like that's what Kauwachi did. And Kauwachi doesn't even run a lot of miles. He runs like he runs, I think it was like 550 kilometers per week. So you're talking like 150 kilometers in a week. So that is like that's like 95 miles a week. It's not a huge amount of mileage. You know, and yeah, he does these runs at like 8 minute mile pace as well. So they probably have him running faster than that. They probably have him doing like 6 minute miles or 5.5 minute miles if he's training with the company teams.